Now, I know it's January and I know a lot of us are cutting back. We don't want cake, but I just fancy a piece of cake. I love carrot and orange cake, especially this time of the year when both are in season. And in the book here, there's a carrot and orange sandwich cake, but I don't want to do that because I don't want a full-blown piece of cake. I just want a little square with frosting on the top. So I'm going to use my calculator to convert this sandwich cake into just a simple little tray bake. My recipe is for a 7-inch 18cm cake, but I want to make it in an 8-inch square, so I've got to multiply everything by 1.7. What you have to be mindful of is the original recipe is for a double layer sponge cake and I just want a single layer. So after calculating my adjusted ingredients, I have to remember that either I'm going to make 2 8-inch square tray bakes, but if I'm going to make 1 8-inch square tray bake, I'm going to have to reduce those ingredients by half. Does that make sense? It does make sense. Got all the ingredients ready, prepared, because that's the worst part about baking, getting everything ready. Finely grated carrot. I've got the flour, a little bit of baking powder and spices in there. I've got my oil there. Grated zest of the orange, and I'll be using the juice. I've got brown sugar here, 2 eggs. So let's get going. What I'm going to do is whisk together this brown sugar along with the oil. And what I'm doing here is just making sure there are no lumps, because if you've got lumps in your sugar, they won't dissolve when you get your oil in, and what you'll end up with is like waxy holes in your finished cake. So that's pretty smooth. In with the oil, and then I'm going to whisk these up until till it's quite thick, and then I'll add the eggs. So that's quite well mixed. In with the eggs. And then this will whisk up until it's quite pale and thick. I whisked up eggs, oil and sugar. In with my flour and... Now, if you say, oh, do you have to bother sifting it? I just do it. I don't know why. I just always do it. But it's an opportunity too to mix that spice and baking powder all together before it goes into the bowl. Smells good already. So once I've got that through, then I can start to fold it in. And once it looks sort of half mixed in, and that flour's starting to look as though it's being absorbed, then what I'll do is I'll go in with the orange zest. That can go in. Orange juice. If you notice, I haven't finished mixing it all together because I don't want to end up over mixing by sort of mixing everything and then having to add other things, because then I end up over mixing. So I've sort of half mixed it. In with the juice and the carrot. You want your carrot finely grated because it sort of disappears into the cake. You wouldn't know it was there. Whereas thick clumpy bits, you sort of see them amongst your cake. And now I can finish mixing. Get everything well mixed together. And don't forget to always clean the back of your spoon, because that will always collect unmixed flour. I'll just give that a clean whilst I'm going. Now this is a very wet, quite a wet mix. And so what I've done with this tin, that's where I left my whisks standing so I didn't make a mess. But what I've done with this tin, because this is a loose bottom tin and this is a very wet mix, I've put a piece of paper in the bottom. If you use a solid tin, then obviously you can just brush it with lining paste, but I was just a little bit worried that this mixture might find its way out of this tin. So I'm just going to pop that in there. Make sure I've got every drop using my spatula. Give the bowl a clean up as well. And then just give it a quick straighten out. Make sure it's all fairly even. And then this will bake for about 18-20 minutes. But what I'm going to do, because I want a flat tray bake type finish to this cake, I don't want a dome on it. I want it to have a flat top so that I can put a layer of cream cheese frosting on the top. I'll show you what I'm going to do. My strips of foil. Now I know we're flinging the foil this year, but I haven't got a problem with foil if we can use it over and over again. It's not getting contaminated by food. I'm going to need 2 strips for this tin. But what this will do, this will defuse the heat. So rather than the heat push on the side of this tin and then push the cake up the middle, it's all going to heat up at the same rate. And then what we should get at the end is a nice flat cake. Right, let's get this in the oven. That cake's in the oven, I'm making these little baby carrot chips that I'm going to use as decoration. I'm just going to boil these in a sugar syrup, and they make a fabulous, just natural decoration to the cake rather than fondant. I'm finished with fondant on the main. So here we go, along with a pinch of bicarb just to make them nice and carrot coloured. Nice flat cake, straight out the oven. I've got a super flat top to apply my cream cheese frosting. I'm going to actually put the top to the bottom and the bottom to the top, like that. And then I can spread my cream cheese frosting over. Now I've got this, I don't want it perfectly smooth, it's a carrot cake for goodness sake, so I'm just making it look fairly tidy. And then I'm going to pop this in the freezer just for 10 minutes, just to firm up so that I can slice it easily and finish decorating. This is feeling quite firm. You know, fresh cake is really spongy and light, and if you try to cut neat squares, it gets a bit crumbly and a bit messy looking. So we can cut this into neat squares. I'm going to go for 16, I think, and I'm going to wipe the knife each time I use it. Cut it into 4 equal pieces one way, and then 4 equal pieces the other way. And I'm going in with my tiny rosemary leaves, which are disguised as carrot leaves.